Third floor.
All right, sorry.
Yago Rabaran is now the co-host. He wants to know what that beep is.
I thought my bell was ringing in the house, you know?
Every time somebody joins, that's the ring that I usually shut off.
Anyways, before we do that, a little accounting here. What's the Purim? What's anybody's opinion? How's it working Purim?
What did we do last year?
Last year, I think we had Shir on Erev Purim. We did not have on Purim. We had on Tainus Esther. We did not have on Purim, and we made it up. But we want to get together Purim by night. I think there was a. But the question is, we doing the daf?
It was only if there was a seal.
Well, no, that we ended up having two
No,
parties.
I thought the plan.
Because David, we know you love parties so much. We want to make two parties.
It's true. It's true. I don't like to admit it.
I thought the plan was to do the first daf between Mincha Ma'ariv, and then have after
Do the next day's daf.
10 o'clock, the next day's daf with Misiba or something.
Yeah, is the Olam in for that, or an informal?
Wait, and then the actual Purim day, no daf?
Right. Meaning,
Where's
there'll
be a mitzvah by a house? It'll be live?
It'll be by my mother's house, and whoever wants to be on Zoom will be on Zoom, obviously.
Gotcha.
Now, I had a thought that crossed my mind because that daf is really hard. I mean, there's two brothers marrying two sisters with another two brothers, and then their mothers-in-law and sisters-in-law, and a ganze.
So let Marchuk say that stuff.
No, really, I had a thought that we should act it out. And really, it's Purim night. We should have a couple guys put on a fake shaitel, whatever a shaitel, and two guys. I know it's dangerous. No, I said put on whatever. Meaning you have
not a lace.
A lace. On Purim, it has to be a lace.
I have the shaitels.
Okay. No, I don't mean like, meaning it's going to be so hard, but if we get two guys to be the husbands, two guys to be the wives, two guys to be the Yibums, we might actually understand it. And it might actually be, I was just a thought. I have no idea if we should do this or not. I'm just throwing it out there. But anyways.
Very racy with Yevamos, you know?
What?
This stuff is getting very racy in Yevamos.
Yes.
Lacy shaitlos and brothers
well, yes, the whole thing is a redneck. The whole Yevamos is redneck. That's
the Midwest.
You gotta do something about your microphone, Simon. Your microphone is messed up, man.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, so I think that's the plan. Is that, I mean, we're gonna do after Mincha before
Ma'ariv. I plan on getting beer like the old days in Shabbos. We only drink beer per night.
I know, but we're assering beer, parents. Oh, Purim night you could because it's not St. Patrick's.
Yeah, that's only during the day.
All right, it's only March 7th. Only after Chatzos. After Chatzos, Purim night, no beer.
No,
we got a new
no.
Right? After Chatzos, Purim night. It's already March 7th. March 17th? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a new chomer from Rabban. No schnapps or beer this Purim. Only wine, because otherwise it's chukas agayim because it looks like St. Patrick's.
I don't understand. They don't drink wine. They never heard of wine either.
I heard Rabban.
No, they don't drink wine. They don't drink
wine. It's against their religion. What does that mean?
It seems like they just don't drink wine. I don't know.
Yes, now we know the Irish customs, and they don't drink wine.
Irish don't drink wine. I'm sure they have wine.
Still grow in Ireland.
Yaakov, Rabban Shalach Manas are green-filled Hamantash.
Oh.
I can tell you very, very with authority that the Irish drink wine.
They're just very old.
Wait, one second. Isn't it the hapachu? Why can't we do chukas hagoyim on that day?
No, hapachu doesn't mean that you can just change isurim and make things mutter.
I'm saying that day, you can act like a guy.
Naftali, so you'll have corned beef and cabbage for your Suda. That's what you should do on Patrick's Day.
I'm still having trouble with
I don't even know what that means.
Drinking on Purim.
Answering drinking? No, he said no. Only wine. Only wine. Only wine. Anyways,
that goes against Rashi. That holds that it's also considered
yeah. Okay. But anyway, okay. So I think that's the plan. I hope that's going to work out for the other. But anyways, fine. So now we left off. Where did we leave off? In the bottom of vchomer beis. Okay, so going back to where we were holding, is we're looking for a reason why we need the passuk of Aliyah, right? So again, we said that the passuk of Aliyah tells you that when your sister-in-law is also another arayos, meaning if your sister-in-law is your mother, daughter, not mother, daughter, wife, sister, whatever, the 15, mother-in-law, all those type of things. So if that happens, so the Mishnah says you don't do Yibum, and not to her, and not to the Tzara either. And the passuk of Aliyah tells you. So we've been saying, well, why isn't it just Esei Doicha Lois Aseh? Right? And that's why you need a passuk to tell you no us Esei Doicha Lois. So we're going back and forth. So we just left off. That we found we said that maybe it's going according to the one that says that Havara on Shabbos is we're going according to both opinions, right? That there's Havara on Shabbos, and that's an issur. And you're not allowed, the beis din is not allowed to kill by taking the hot lead and killing somebody on Shabbos, right? So you see that essay is not doicha alois essay sheyesh by chorus, right? So that's what we're holding now. So Gemara is going to try and say that that's not pshat in the brisa. So we're 3 lines up from the bottom. Summer of Simi Barashi. Hi Tana. The Tana didn't need to say a passuk to tell you that beis din shouldn't kill because essays meaning shouldn't kill on Shabbos because essay that has chorus, and that's why you need a passuk to tell you still beis din cannot kill on Shabbos. No, you need the passuk because we would have learned from a vchomer that beis din can kill somebody that's chayav misa on Shabbos. We would have learned it from a vchomer. This is the vchomer. Mani mekayim mechal meis yumas. What am I going to do with the pasuk that says those that are mechal Shabbos should die? B'shar malachos chutz misas beis din. That must be talking about all other malachos other than misas beis din. Our misas beis din, dachi Shabbos mekal vchomer, but misas beis din should push off Shabbos from a vchomer. Now, what's the vchomer? On Tameh Aleph now. Uma avoida. Right? Shehi chamura v'doicha Shabbos. So avoida, that's chomer, because it's doicha Shabbos, right? We bring the korban tameh on Shabbos. So you see that avoida's beis hamikdash is doicha Shabbos. Ritzicha doicha isa, but killing is doicha the avoida. What's the case? If you have a kohen who's chayav misa for whatever reason, and he got away from the beis din and he ran away, and he figures the best place for him to hide is on top of the mizbeach doing the avodah. So a guy is chayav misa, a kohen is chayav misa. He said, I'm going to escape and I'm going to run onto the mizbeach and I'm going to do the avodah there. They'll never take me down from there because they're going to be mevatel the avodah. So the din is no, we yank him off, and even if he's the last kohen, Rashi says, even if he's the only kohen to do it, and we're going to be mevatel the avodah, still his chayav misa takes precedence. Shenemar me'im mizbechi tikachenu lamas, take him from the mizbeach to die. So again, Shabbos, we push off Shabbos for the avodah, and we push off the avodah in order to kill. So that means that avodah is obviously, killing is obviously very important because it pushes away avodah, and avodah pushes away Shabbos. So Shabbos shenitro v'nei avodah. So if Shabbos gets pushed away for avodah, in addition to ritzicha doicha esa, so ritzicha should be doicha the Shabbos. Again, it's fairly straightforward. Shabbos, Shabbos, korban, the avodah is doicha Shabbos, and a guy that needs to be killed is the importance of killing him is doicha the avodah. So for sure the killing is going to be doicha Shabbos, right? So that's a vchomer. So you would think that taka beis din should kill on Shabbos. So comes the passuk that says. One second, so comes the passuk that says that beis din is not allowed to kill. We don't learn out from the vchomer. Yeah, what are you saying?
It was bias rishon and bias sheni that it said beis din that killed once in 7 years is katlanim. So
I don't
how-
remember which one it was.
So either one was 400 years, yeah? So that means
Right.
Bezdin killed 6 guys in 400 years. You think any of them happened on Shabbos?
And a chanami, I hear, but and a chanami, that's true, but we just still have to know the din. Maybe if it
Okay.
happens so rarely,
Fine.
then they have
Fine.
to chop a rind on Shabbos. No?
Fine. Well, I guess so.
Yeah, but anyways, so again, so we would think from a vchomer that it's doicha Shabbos, and comes the passuk to tell us not, but has nothing to do with essay doicha loisa. So that's the point of the Gemara. We thought we had a reason to say that essays doicha loisa have a chorus, and we say no, we don't. We would have thought that it's doicha Shabbos because of a vchomer. Okay, umay oy de kamar. Right? If you remember from yesterday's daf, it said, or maybe not. Maybe it's not doicha hachi kamar. Kfuras meis mitzva techia. The kvura of a meis mitzvah maybe disproves it. Shadayches havoida. A meis mitzvah will be doichet avoida, meaning if there's nobody to bury the dead and only kohanim, so then they have to bury them. And it's, even if that means not doing avoida, but ve'ein doiches Shabbos. A meis mitzvah is not doichet Shabbos because you wait till after Shabbos. So you see that maybe. So that you see maybe Shabbos is more strict, so there's no kal v'chomer. So Hadar Amar, no, kfuras meis mitzvah titcha Shabbos and kal v'chomer. We're going to say that kfuras meis mitzvah will push off Shabbos and kal v'chomer. Ma avoida she wrote doicha Shabbos, right? So avoida is doicha Shabbos because we bring korbanos on Shabbos, right? The korbanos of tzibur we bring on Shabbos. Kfuras meis mitzvah doicha so, and the kfura of meis mitzvah is doicha Shabbos milachosai. From the passuk of halachos, which is that a nazir. This is talking about a nazir who is not allowed to become tameh. So even if it's his sister, he doesn't become tameh, right? But if it's a meis mitzvah, then he does become tameh. So Shabbos shenitru b'nei avodah. So Shabbos that gets pushed off because of avodah. Einay din shetei kfuras meis mitzvah doichet. So shouldn't meis mitzvah be doichet? So therefore. So that's what the passuk's telling us, to tell us that there's no misa from Bezdin on Shabbos. So basically what we're saying now is from a kal v'chomer, and that's it. Yeah, and therefore we don't have a raya again that essays doicha loisa says sheyesh b'koros. Now there's a very interesting taisis. We had this Gemara in Brachos, which I didn't remember till I saw it in taisis. So, but it's that why don't we say that this Kayan's avodah is puzzle because he killed somebody, right? Since this Kayan killed somebody, then his avodah is puzzle, right? So Taisus wants to say that there it's really the person that's puzzle, not the avodah that's puzzle, right? So then Taisus comes out saying that really the person that killed is Roy, right? It's only duchening that a kohen who killed is not allowed to duchen, but the kohen could do. It's an interesting thing. That means a kohen who killed is allowed to do the avodah in the beis hamikdash. He's not allowed to duchen, right? So Taisus besides says that's a chumra ba'alma though, but the meis it's a halacha, right? Then he says that maybe the reason why he can't duchen is because ein kateger nasa sneger, because when you're duchening, you're holding up your hands. Right, you're benching klal. The kohen's benching klal Yisrael when he holds up his hands, right? So if he holds up his hands are the ones that killed. So how can the hands that killed go bench klal Yisrael, right? So that's why maybe Tosfos says only the duchening is a problem and not the misa, right?
See, Yaakov, I just know I just know all these stories. Bugsy Goldstein, who from Murder Incorporated, used to help my Zaidi bring in the milk cartons. He lived in the apartment above the grocery. He got the electric chair. He was a murderer for murdering Bugsy Goldstein. He was a kohen. I saw his matzeva has the hands up on the top of the matzeva.
You serious?
Yeah, I once looked up his matzeva online. I'm serious. I know these things. I'm sorry. I just know it.
Okay, it's interesting. It's interesting that if that certainly he would not be able to do it. That they put their hands on his right. No, but it's a shaila taka. If somebody if somebody
Aaron, that's real Bekias.
that's
Not
If you
bad, huh?
can't
Not
duchen, who knows what? If you tell him he can't duchen, what's going to happen to you?
that's yes, that would not be a smart idea, right? But it is a shayla tak. I think it came up there in the army. If you have Gehanim that are in the army,
Oh.
and they killed people, they killed Goyim, whatever, can they duchen? I don't remember what the
It's Yaakov.
out.
I was saying over this mission. I was saying over this mission by my office, and an Israeli kohen came over to me afterwards. It's a mission in Metzora that discusses it, and an Israeli kohen came over to me afterwards, and he goes, I went to the IDF. Does that mean I can't duchen? He was a kohen, and I said, I don't know. He's like, are goyim different? Meaning he didn't kill Jews, he killed goyim.
Right.
So I said, I don't know, and I forgot about it. It was like 2 weeks ago, and I forgot. And now
I wonder. He should ask a shaila. He should ask a shaila. I don't remember what they come out.
There's probably chuvas about it. It's a big nebuch, but in World War I, there was Yidden who killed Yidden. There was Yidden on the German side. There was Yidden on the Allied side. There's stories where they heard the guy, they shot a bullet, they heard the guy say Shema. Hara, it was a Mamash Hara World War I. There was Yidden on both sides in the army, nebuch.
Taka?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's probably chuvas. There's probably chuvas about it.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. It's floating around in my head. Akiva, there's got to be. I have it floating in my head somewhere. That's.
No, but I'm saying the IDF is a little different.
Why? It's a bikuach nefesh.
Killing goyim.
So that's what I'm
not
saying.
So sure.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not so sure that's.
If you hold that the daim el chamar, what does that mean?
No, I don't remember if it's a din in killing. If it's a din in killing, right?
If a person kills an animal, are you chayav?
No, but I think it's a din in humans. I think, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. Well, we had the question by Pinchas. How he would be able to how he became a kohen after he killed them.
Oh, very good. Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was after the fact.
Oh, right. That's true.
Yeah, but so then you don't make him a kohen. He can't do the avodah. They asked. He can't do the avodah. He killed somebody.
The Abisha told him to do the avodah. It wasn't.
Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so let's. Okay, but whatever. That's.
There may be another loophole in Taisus. Taisus says shaharag biyadai.
You're saying
today,
that
I wonder if it's not that visceral today. Yeah.
I hear. Maybe. I don't know. I know that there's shilas about what happens if a guy never kills somebody in a car accident.
Yeah, right.
All right, but anyways, okay. So that's it. So now back to we had our recess from Yevamos. Now back to Yevamos. Okay, so lemai the salik adaiti mei kora the osiyah say v'dachi loisa say maya ain't the ka'ama. Right, according to what we thought. Then the Havamina, that Asay is Dachi Loisa saying, how come you're saying Oy Einai? Meaning the Gemara went through. Maybe killing on Shabbos is Daika Shabbos. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is, right? It went back and forth. So what was the Havamina? According to the Asay Daika Loisa say, why would you think that he's not Chayiv? That he's allowed, that Bezin is allowed to kill. So Hachikama. Mani Mekai Mechal Mos. You must what do we do with the passuk? That those that are Machal Shabbos should die. B'shar malachos chutz misas bezdin. That's all about other malachos except for misas bezdin. Avo misas bezdin dachi Shabbos, but misas bezdin is dachi Shabbos. Dasi asay, but dachi loisa say. Comes in asay and dachi loisa say. Hadar Amar Eimer Damnina dasi asay v'dachi loisa say. When do we say that asay is dachi loisa say? Loisasa greater. That's only when it's a loisa straight. That's it. Loisasa sheyesh by kares misham is like dachi. Who says that a mitzvah asay of killing somebody who's chayav misa is daicha Shabbos, which has chorus. So Hadar Amar, so he went back and said, Atu Esei Daiches Loisase, is a Esei Daiches Loisase, Lav Loisase Chomer Minei, right? Is it not more chomer? Right? Meaning the Gemara, this is the time I think that some of us have been had throughout this last two blot. What's the difference? What if it's a loisa? It's a loisa. What's the difference? What the chiyuv is, right? If you say that a mitzvah say pushes off a loisa, what's the difference if he's karis, malchus? I think Gemara is saying malchus is also chumrah, right? It's not fun to get malchus, right? It's also a punishment. What's the difference? Which punishment is the more chumrah one? If you hold essays doicha loisa and an essays doicha loisa, right? So that's what you would have thought, and therefore you should. Bezdin should kill on Shabbos. Tameh loimer loisavaru. So the passuk says loisavaru, right? That therefore you're not allowed to, right? So then the Gemara says Ella. So now, okay, so that's it. So now the Gemara at this point is giving up on trying to say that Yibum would be mutter because of Esei Doicha Loisaseh. The Gemara could not find a solid raya that essays doicha loisaseh that has chorus. So now the Gemara is taking a whole different angle. Ela itzrich, you need the passuk of Alea because you would think that Yibum is allowed to other arayos because right? An eishes ach, the wife of the brother, is included in all the arayos, right? A person's not allowed to marry his mother-in-law, not his daughter-in-law, not his sister-in-law. Right, and not right, and all these things. So it's included. The yotzim in a klal, but the passuk said that a person is allowed to marry his brother's wife if his brother dies without kids. So why was it excluded? Why was it something specific? And why did it say brother's wife? So the yotzim in a klal ulamid, it was went out of the klal to teach. Lo ulamid al atzma yotza. It's not there to teach for itself. Anybody say the Rabbi Shmuel every day? Rabbana, do you say that? Are you the sole representative, the one that says it? Like korbanos? Right? I don't know. Maybe only korbanos, he said. But
I started saying korbanos like 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, wow, that's a good pun.
You made Naphtali liners.
That's a very good pun.
Give it another few weeks. So start. You see guitarists also, or not guitarists?
Yeah, whatever. But the question is, they say you'd gimel the Rabbi Shmuel Leimer. That's the question. So there's two of them here on this daf. It's not often that you get a daf that has two Rabbi Shmuel Leimers, two of the 13, right? So
well,
anyway,
these two go together.
Yeah, but they're really different.
You get I think 6 and 11. I think it's.
Yeah,
you get klal and ribui mi and ribui.
I think you meant. I think you mentioned previously in a different daf share that we had that you said that you have to say Rabbi Shmuel if you're going to say the Kaddish Rabbanan. That's the most important part, right?
Well, if you're going to say the Kaddish Rabbanan, yes.
Right. Okay.
But anyway. So that one of them is that when
Naftali, the yeshiva I went to, there was no Kaddish Rabbanan. Okay.
You can come to the white shul with me.
No, I don't have to. It's okay.
But anyway, so the rule is that when there's something, everything is included in a klal. You have all the arayos that you're not allowed to marry, and then it excludes one, and it's not excludes, but it brings out says one. Specifically, which is the brother's wife. So it's excluded. It's to go back and to teach on everything that's in the rule, which is basically since we're allowing you to marry your brother's wife, therefore we're going to allow you to marry all arayos if your brother is the one that passed away without kids, right? Since the Torah says that there is one of the arayos that you are allowed to marry. If they were married to your brother and your brother was passed away without kids, so therefore you're allowed to marry any of the arayos. That's what you would think. The Tanya, something that was part of the group, part of the rule, and it was excluded. Ketzad, what's the example? Because it says this is somebody whose tameh is not allowed to eat kachim, right? So it says, and there's a chiyuv kares. The nefesh that eats basar from korbanos and his tumah is love. Shlomim is included in kachim, right? Kachim is a very broad application. It's anything that's kodesh. So v'lama yatsu. So why did it exclude kachim, right? Meaning the next passuk says dafka b'shlomim lahakash elen, to make a hekesh, to compare shlomim to everything else. V'loim looking to tell you ma shlomim yuchadim kachim is beach, just like shlomim is only on the mizbeach. Afkol kachim is beach. This din that somebody tameh cannot eat kachim only refers to korbanos. Yatsu kachim bedek beis comes to exclude if somebody tameh eats the peanuts that they give out. I'm just an example. I don't know that belong to the bedek beis or the snacks or something like that. Then he's not going to be chayiv. So you see that the reason why the Torah specified shlomim, even though it should be included in the rest of kachim, is to teach us a new din. So the same thing here, hachanami, here too, ha'eshes ach bechlal kol arayos. Your brother's wife is included in all the rest of the arayos that you're not allowed to marry. And why was it excluded? Not excluded, but why did it say that Yivum Yevamos by a brother-in-law? Sister-in-law, sorry, to make a comparison. Just like your brother's wife is mutter, so too all other arayos are also mutter, and therefore that's what you would have thought, and therefore Yibum is daicha all the other arayos. So comes along the word Alea and tells you no, only your brother's wife is mutter, all other arayos are issur. Yeah, so that's basically that's how the Gemara is learning it. Why you need the passuk of Aliyah. So then the Gemara says, "Midami." You can't compare the two cases. You can't compare the case of shlomim to the case of a brother-in-law. Why? Because hasam klal be'issur uprat be'issur. The klal was be'issur, which was what was the rule? No kachim are allowed to be eaten when you're tameh, and the prat was be'issur too. It says the same issur, just said it by shlomim. So they were both issurim. So it must be coming to teach us something else. Hacha klal be'issur, the rule is be'issur, meaning all the arayos, it's issur to marry. Uprat beheter, but then there's a heter to marry a sister, a brother's wife, when the brother dies without kids, right? That was a heter. So this is another one of the Rabbi Shmuel. That's something that was part of the klal, the yatsa lidan bedavar achadosh, and it was excluded in order to darshan something new. You cannot put that back to the rule, to the basic rule, until the passuk puts it back. Meaning, what it's saying is that let's say you have a whole set of halachos, right? In the Torah, then there's a set rule. And then the Torah gives a leniency in one specific case, right? So then that specific case will not have the same status as the group unless the Torah gives you a beferish passuk that puts it back into the group. But if the Torah doesn't put it back into the group, then it's excluded from the group and it has its own din. Okay, what's an example? Tanya, if there was something in a klal, and it was excluded to teach something new, you can't put it back into the klal, into the rule, into the basic rule, until the passuk says straight out. What does this mean? Ketzad. It says, this is talking about a tsaras, right? So we've been learning it on Shabbos, that somebody who has tsaras has to bring a few different korbanos, and then they have to put the blood, they have to shave the hair, and then they have to put the blood on his thumb and on his big toe. So it says, V'shogad es hakeves, b'makom asher yishrat es hachatos, es ha'oila b'makom hakodesh. So you shech the keves in the same place that you shech the chatos. What?
This week's parsha, putting the blood.
Is it this week?
Yeah. It's out. Yeah.
Oh, very good. Okay, I thought it was. Okay, excellent. So v'shal is a keves. B'magam she'yishchul es hachatos es ha'oil b'makam hakodesh. Right, so you shech the keves for the one who has tzaras in the same place you shech the chatos and the oila in a makam kodesh. Ki chatos ha'asham hu l'koyin, because the asham is like a chatos for the koyin. So okay, so she'ein tameh lechatos ha'asham. What is it saying? The chatos like the asham. Why does the pasuk have to tell that to you for? Why would you think it's not? So why is it telling you? Why is the pasuk saying the chatos is like the asham is like the chatos? The reason is because there was something unique to Metzora that was taught about a Metzora that's different than all the other korbanos. Because the passuk says that you have to take the blood. Normally you sprinkle the blood on the mizbeach, but by tzaras you sprinkle the blood on his thumb and on his big toe. So clearly tzaras is different than all the other korbanos. So that's why the pasuk had to say kechatas asham to put it back into the rule, right? Meaning because you would think that since tzaras had a separate din that you put the blood on the finger, on the thumb, and on the big toe, so therefore it's different than the rest of kachim, and maybe you shouldn't sprinkle the blood on the mizbeach. Again, on tameh beis. Now, there's a nice relief when you turn on tameh beis and you see this size. Amud. Yeah, so tameh loymar. So the pasuk tells us that it's a chatas asham, meaning even though tzaras has its own unique din, it still gets put back into the regular din. Just like a chatas needs to put blood onto the mizbeach. So asham also needs matan dam mizbeach. Fine. Now take it back to the case of Yibum. The Eloy hadre kra, and if the passuk would not have said, if the passuk wouldn't was putting it back. No, I'm sorry, we're still in Metzora. And if the passuk would not have put the Metzora back into the rule, right? So you would have thought that what it goes out for, it goes out for, and what it doesn't go out for, it doesn't go out for. Meaning, we said Metzora. If the pasuk wouldn't have put Metzora back in by saying kikachatas ha'asham, we would have thought, okay, Metzora has unique that you just put the blood on the thumbs and you don't put it on the mizbeach. So therefore it says kikachatas ha'asham to tell you to put it back in. So hachanami havamina. So now we're back into Yibum. Hachanami havamina eishes ach ishtara the ishtara. Whatever Eishes Ach allows, meaning Eishes Ach is your brother's wife. That's included in all the arayos. So really you should not be allowed to marry your brother's wife. But the passuk says that you are allowed to in order that your brother should have a zikaron because he died without kids. But shar arayos lie. But other arayos would not. Right? So therefore, and there's no passuk that puts it back in. So since there's no passuk that puts it back in, so now why do I need the word Alea to tell you that you're not allowed to marry all the arayos, even for Yibum? I would never have thought it because Eishes Ach was excluded, and there was no other passuk to put it back in. Right? Again, just the rule is that when the Torah has something's part of a rule, and then there's one unique din that's said about one of them, then that gets its own status for that din, and it doesn't reflect back onto the rest of the rules. By tzara, unless there's a pasuk that puts it back in. So by tzaras, there's a pasuk that puts it back in. By Yibum, it doesn't. By Yibum, we know the Torah says there's no arayos. You're not allowed to marry any of the arayos. There's an exclusion, right? There's a heter for a brother's wife if the brother dies without kids, but there's no pasuk to put it back to arayos. Right? So therefore, therefore we don't have any reason to believe that marrying any of the arayos will be mutter, and therefore we don't have any need for the pasuk of Alel. Okay, so now again we're back to square one. We have no reason, we have no idea why we need a pasuk Alel to tell you that all the arayos are allowed to be married, are not allowed to be married by Yibum. Right? Ella. So now we're on to another one. Ella. We're going to learn it out from a mamatzinu, from the wife of your brother. Just like the brother's wife, you do Yibum, right? The standard case. The brother dies without kids. Normally, you're not allowed to marry your brother's wife, but for Yibum, we're allowed it. So too, your wife's sister, you're allowed to be miyavim too, and then memela all the other arayos too.
I don't understand. Didn't we just say a rule? Isn't there a rule you're not allowed to just? How could we create a mamatzin when we just created a rule before that said you can't don it if it's already yitzim in a klal? The Gemara just said a whole rule about not being able to. If le hadra kra, then you can't go ahead and assume anything more. Doesn't that limit? If le hadra kra, doesn't the Gemara limit? Doesn't it just?
No, but
if le hadra kra, isn't it limited to just that? You can't. How can you do a mamatzinu?
No, because it's a mamatzinu is a different limud. It's a different limud. That's it. I wish I understood all these different limudim, but a mamatzinu is different than a rule with an exclusion. It's a different limud.
You're saying that it doesn't limit it to other drushes.
Correct.
The davar shahaya b'chlal v'yotza is in the realm of klal l'prat klal. There's 4 rules to klal l'prat klal.
Right.
Mamatzino has no shaykhs to klal l'prat klal. In the realm of klal l'prat klal, one of the rules is that if it's yotza l'davar hakadosh, you can't learn anything unless the passuk puts it back. But that's in the rule of klal l'prat klal. That's it.
Right. Saying. And a charabi, but mamatzinu is a different limud b'chlal, right? Okay, well, I don't know, Akiva. I wish I understood all these rules of how to learn things out. But this is a mamatzinu. Well, mamatzinu is pretty straightforward. You see it by this, you see it by this, right? So then Gemara says, "Mi dami hasam chadi surah, halcha trei suri." This is something I think also that was bothering everybody. It's different. Your brother's wife. To marry your brother's wife is one issur. One is not allowed to marry their brother's wife. The Torah tells you for Yibum purposes, you're allowed to. But when your brother's wife is also your daughter, then there's 2 issurim. So who says the Torah is going to allow you to do 2 issurim? It's one thing the Torah allows you to do 1 issur. Who says the Torah is going to allow you to do 2 issurim? Right? So Gemara answers, no, Mao the same, ishri. No, we're saying, well, once you're being materit, be materit. Right? Well, we say this rule on our personal lives a lot. Especially in diet. Once I broke the diet, just that's it. Let it go. Unfortunately, it works by a lot.
Say the same thing with the daf, Tiago. Once you miss one daf, done.
Oh, you're right, It's very good, right? Once I'm out, right? That's right. That's unfortunate, but it's usually not a good rule here. But here we're using it for good. Like once we're going to be mater to marry a brother's wife, we might as well be. Once you're matering an issur, we just might as well mater a lot of issurim, which is unfortunately what people do, right? Say, I watch one movie, I might as well watch another, and then another, and then whatever.
Usually we use Rav Huna, no?
What do you mean?
A person's over an avera v'shana boy, nasikat.
Right, yeah.
This is even without v'shana boy.
Well, yeah, it's true. That's true, but I don't know. This is for the tzarich mitzvah, right? But anyways, so Mao the Sema, Hayol Ishri. No, once you allowed it, you're allowing it. Meaning, once we're going to allow 1 issur, so who cares how many isurim there are? Once you're allowing that marriage to go through, and you don't normally allow it, so we're going to allow it to go through, even if there's multiple isurim. Okay, now we totally change gears. When we not tamra damrin and Hayol Ishri. How do you know that you say this rule that once you're being mater, you mater it? So it's not complicated, but another unique case. The Tanya Metzora. So we know that a Metzora has to wait 7 clean days. Then after the 7th day, he goes to the mikveh. Then he has to bring his korbanos on the 8th day, right? Then he becomes tar that night. Yeah, that's basically Metzora. So what happens if he sees Keri on the 8th day, right? Metzora shechal shmini shalei be'erev, and it's also Erev Pesach. Right? So Metzora shechal shmini shaloi be'erev Pesach. So if Metzora that the 8th day falls out on Erev Pesach, now he's got a korban Pesach, which if you don't bring it is a chiyuv koros, right? So it's his 8th day and it's Erev Pesach. So he's hoping that he'll be mutter Pesach by night. He'll be able to eat the korban Pesach. Everything's great. Then all of a sudden, Ra Keri by Bayayim on Erev Pesach on his 8th day, he sees Tumas Keri, right? The Tavos, and then he went to the mikveh. Now, what's the din? So he goes to the mikveh, but he's not allowed onto the beis hamikdash. He's not allowed into the Metzora is not allowed into the beis hamikdash. Basically, the way it is the way he has to get his thumbs. How is the Metzora going to get his thumb, the blood put on his thumbs from the korbanos if he's not allowed into the beis hamikdash? So basically, he stands in the doorway and he sticks his thumbs and his toes inside, and that's how they do it, right? Into the kodesh, and that's how they do it. But if he's a balkari, he's not allowed in at all. So now, how are we going to get him to have his blood put on him? If he doesn't have the blood put on his fingers, he's not going to be able to bring the korban pesach. So he's not allowed into the beis hamikdash for two reasons. One, he's a Metzora, and even the outer area, he's not allowed because he's a balkari. So what are we going to do about this? And these are dirabbanans or chumras, whichever we're going to see in a minute.
Why not just Pesach Sheni?
Because not a lechatchila, he's really tahar. He just has to wait for that night. That's what I think. He has to wait for that night. So bottom line is we have two minhagim / maybe the rabbanon versus him bringing a korban pesach, which is a daraisa and maybe a chiv karas if he doesn't. So what are we going to do? So Amr Chachamim, the Chachamim said, Afa pishein tful yoim achar nichnas, even though other tful yoims are not allowed to go into the beis hamikdash and they have to wait. Zen nichnas, this guy is going to go in. Why? Because mutav sheyavei esei sheyesh by karas, better that a person should come in and he should not be, if he doesn't go in, then he's going to be chayiv karas, v'yitcha asay she'ein by karas, and push off a mitzvah asay that doesn't have karas in it. Right? The Metzora going into the beis hamikdash is not, it's just a mitzvah asay, it doesn't have karas. Right? V'omer Rabbi Yochanan, dvar Torah, afilu asay lespe. And Rabbi Yochanan says that even in asay, it doesn't have. Shenemar, this is talking about in Divrei Yomim. So Yeshafat when they were having an ace tzara from Ammon and Moav. So what happened is Yeshafat they all went on a high level of tahara. So what does it mean? My chatzar chadasha. They stood in front of chatzar chadasha. Samar of Yochanan. Shechichu badvarim. They made a new chiddush. Va'amru tful yaim la yikanis lamachna leviyah. Somebody who is a tful yaim, meaning he saw carry that day, and he has to wait for nightfall, he cannot go into the harabayis. So it's just the takana that they made, right? So obviously, keeping korban pesach is going to be more important than that takana. So why are we letting this guy in? So, right, even though batzim it should be us. So we're saying no. Once we're allowing him in because of his tzaras. So we're going to allow him in for the carry too. So what do you see? You see that once he was mutter for one thing, he's going to be mutter for another thing. Right? So therefore, that's how we have a proof that really we would think that once we're allowing you to marry your brother's wife, and that's an issur, that's one of the arayos. So we're also going to allow you to marry your brother's wife, who's your daughter or your mother-in-law, or whatever it is, and so it comes upon along the passuk Alea and tells you no, you're not allowed to. So again, so right now we're holding that we do have a limud, right? We're learning it out that a comparison. We compare Eishes Ach to all the rest of the arayos. So just like Eishes Ach, the wife of your brother, you're allowed to marry for Yibum purposes. So to all the arayos, you're also allowed to. One has two issur and one has one. Now we don't care about because once we're being matir, we're being matir. Okay, we'll stop here because the next Gemara gets very technical trying to which type of Yibum it's going to compare this to. So I appreciate the Olam hanging in there. And one last thing, it's interesting because Rabbi Yochanan, Taisa says this is a Gershon Kasha, right? Which is, Rabbi Yochanan is an Amayra. The Gemara first says it's a mitzvah asay, not for a balkari not to go into the beis hamikdash. And then Rabbi Yochanan says, no, it's not a mitzvah asay. It was a takana that they made when they were trying to make themselves holier. How could Rabbi Yochanan disagree with a brisa? Rabbi Yochanan is an Amayra. Right? It says, Rabbi Yochanan, Dvar Torah, Filu Esei Lespe. What do you mean? The brisa says it's a mitzvah asay, and Rabbi Yochanan, who's an Amayra, comes along and says it's not a mitzvah asay. Right? Anyways, okay, we'll leave it with that kasha, but that's Tosfos kasha. Yeah, fine. But Tosfos is not really coming to disagree. That's Tosfos' answer. Fine. Okay. I wish everybody
like Reb Moshe.
It's interesting that why we don't say that rule. It's interesting why we don't say that rule. It seems like we don't say it for Amirayim. But yeah, and a chanami.
We do say it for one Amir, that's Rav.
Yes, but that's true. Rav Tano Palak, 100%.
Wait, he was still considered an Amir. He wasn't teaching what?
Yeah, so Taisus actually brings the Rav Tano Palik, because we don't say it by Rabbi Yochanan, right? Even though Taisus seems to bring Havaminas and maybe Rabbi Yochanan, you would say Tano Palik, right? But it seems like you don't. I don't know the chashivas how it worked back then. Yeah. All right. Okay, good to know. Okay. Yeah.
You noticed in the middle there by the history. I lost it a little bit.
Why?
That was, I think, the second shir klali that I heard from Reb Nosson Tzvi.
On what? On this?
This stuff. Yeah. He started. He was there for 20 minutes. He managed to get 10 words out. It was, yeah.
He was all right. When all the shuklas I went to from him, he made it through. But I guess
he
this was after
this one. Yeah.
He didn't make it through a lot when I was there either.
Yeah.
Yaakov, are you collecting Matanos Aviyanim?
I'm not. Just go to you can. It's all goes to the same place. You can go to Davis Memorial Fund website.
I was wondering, can I use them?
Yes, 100%. It all's the same. It's all Shayashuvs and Siachit. They're all.
Oh, really? They all go to the same place? That's good to know.
Everybody's in cahoots. Everybody's in cahoots.
So it's going nowhere.
I'm not saying.
So I have no idea where it's actually going.
What?
You're saying I have no idea where it's actually going.
No. It's all legit. Trust me. Nobody is getting paid for it. All
your brother does.
Aaron's
money goes through this too.
Yeah, because
some of it, yes, some of it not.
Link right now to Yaakov. It asks you which shul you're from. Like, what's your shul affiliation? So they want to know, like.
Yes, it's true, but it's all going basically the same. Yeah.
Someone told me today that someone said, I don't know who, so I know there's someone on a someone, that if you give money this year to like the Ukrainian organizations, that those guys are mamash aniyim, that like it's vchomer aniyim more than like the people they give in town. Do you subscribe to that?
I don't know. It's not. It's rough to say that it replaces matanos of yonim.
So Yaakov, you know the joke about that making sure the guy's a real ani. You make sure the guy's a real ani. You wait until the next year until he's a real ani, but then he's dead. Everyone's like so machmir on making sure he's such an ani. He's like, I want this guy to be such an ani. Meanwhile, you got to take care of people. What does that mean? You're so machmir, the guy is so poor. People are poor. I don't know. What does that mean to be a vchomer on aniyim? People are aniyim. I don't know. Like there has to be a specific category of aniyim.
I do think that you have to be careful who you donate to. It's one thing when I go to Israel or OU, but some of these
I just said that to Yaakov. I agree with you, but I'm just saying, like, there are poor people. It's not like you have to sit there and don every penny. Are they this poor or that poor?
Right. And
there are Achronim that say there is an Indian. It's matanos aviyanim, not la'aniyim. The aviyan is much poorer than an ani.
Yeah, but lamaisa geret, that's a chumrah.
Lamaisa is right, 100%. Yeah.
Don't be machmir about people being aniyim. I'm saying people should be.
No, I'm not. What?
Don't be machmir on other people's accounts.
No, I think he's saying it's a positive thing that Baruch Hashem, we don't have people who are mamash aviyanim.
I'm just saying. I think it's all relative.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I'm saying we wouldn't be able to be medame to what the Mishnayos are talking about. That the people that are able to go ahead and eat from the payah, but that's not the point. I think aniyim are still aniyim.
What was the last three words you said?
I said they're still aniyim, even if they're not on the level of the Mishnayos that talk about a person that's able to. You have to be less than a certain amount of zuzim. I'm saying people are still aniyim, even if they're above that. So give to them.
It's true.
It still counts.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with that.
No, it's just a funny thing that people are mock with gomer. They have to give
well, nobody who's giving out matanas of yonim anyways to specific people. You're giving it to the gabayim and they give it out. right?
I agree.
Who's-
I agree. I just want to make sure it's going to a real place. That's all.
Yeah,
It's actually going
that's-
out to people. I'm not mocked that the guy is this poor or that poor.
yeah.
Anyways.
Anyway, so pretty much they're all in cahoots together. So